However long the night, the dawn will break. Life can sometimes take such unforeseen turns that it becomes difficult to take everything in. 1 second you can be dancing in joy, and the next minute the world seems to fall apart. However, no matter how tough the feeling is, suicide should never be an option. It's often said, when one door closes, another one opens. But there are times when everything around us seems closed. Every path seems barricaded. Every desire seems lost. And in times like these, ending life may seem like an easy way out of the misery. But please remember, all the misery and sadness will surely end one day, and you will definitely see a bright new day. September 10th is celebrated as World Suicide Prevention Day. It is an awareness day observed in order to provide worldwide commitment and action to prevent suicides, with various activities around the world since 2003. To bring words of inspiration and wisdom to those who need it, we have here with us today Dr. Lavina M. Noronha, Director, Ave Maria Palliative Care, Vamanjoor, Mangalore, a residential hospice facility for the terminally ill. She is also the trustee of Sushek Charitable Trust and the coordinator of Mangalore Suicide Lifeline. Dr. Lavina, on completing her MPhil from NIMHANS Bangalore, worked as a counselor at Chetana Counseling Center for 4 years. Being an academician, she obtained a scholarship for doctoral studies at University of Illinois, Urbana-Champaign, USA in 1994 and obtained her PhD in 1998 for thesis entitled Parental Response to Suicide Attempts of Adolescents, a Narrative Analysis. Post her doctoral studies, she worked as an employee assistance counselor at University of Illinois and as a crisis respite counselor at Mental Health Center of Champaign County in Urbana-Champaign, Illinois. She also served as an associate professor and director of the MSW program for 8 years at Our Lady of Lake University, San Antonio, Texas, and also worked for Vitas Innovative Hospice as a triage counselor. She has presented and published many papers on stress and coping, mental health, spirituality, death and dying, suicide, palliative care, and cancer. She is also a trainer of life skills, effective classroom management, stress management, suicide prevention, cancer awareness, mental health and well-being, and is engaged in counseling children, adolescents, and couples. A voracious reader, she is also interested in music, travel, and gardening. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Dr. Lavina M. Noronha.
We're here to know a little bit more about suicide and its prevention and also intervention. Working together to prevent suicide is the theme of Suicide Prevention Day. It's celebrated all over the world on September 10th. It's an opportunity provided globally to create awareness about suicide and also to call attention to this pandemic of suicide. Every year we are losing a lot of people to suicide, and we have to do something about this. As students, we have a great responsibility to watch out for each other so that we can actually join hands in saving lives. Suicide is a public health crisis. More than 8 lakh people die because of suicide worldwide every year. And of these 8 lakh people, 1,35,000 are from India, that is about 17%. One suicide takes place every 40 seconds worldwide, and it is the third leading cause of death among youngsters 14 to 19 years. In India, about 15 people resort to suicide every hour. And every 55 minutes, one student dies of suicide. So student population is more vulnerable to suicide than any other population in India. But there is good news. 8 out of 10 people give warning before suicide, some kind of a warning. 80% of people tell someone or give some kind of warning signs before they take their own lives. Therefore, suicide is preventable. Suicide can be stopped. You just have to know what are these warning signs. Let's see what those warning signs are briefly. One of them is change in mood or variation, fluctuation in mood, from happy to sad, from happy to angry, angry to guilty. So a different variation of emotions take place. Now everyone feels sad. And it's natural to feel sad. When things don't go right, we all feel sad. But if it continues for a long time, if a person feels down in the dumps for a long time, I don't know why I'm sad, but I'm sad. So that kind of sadness, which is very overwhelming, which is very incapacitating, and which goes on for many, many weeks, not just hours, but days and weeks, that's a warning sign. There's also withdrawal from social activities. A person who was very social becomes suddenly very morose and likes to be alone. Leave me alone. Or locks himself in the room. So if you have friends who show these changes, who are saying, oh, just leave me alone, I don't want to talk to anybody, you cannot leave them alone. You cannot bother them too much, but at least be with them. Find out what's going on. It's important. They also have sometimes some experience death wish. I think death is better than life. I wish I was not born at all. They don't say I want to kill myself. So these are indirect messages given by people verbally. Sometimes they give these messages in writing. They talk about death in their paintings, in their writings, in poetry, in music that they choose. The lyrics are very gloomy and very negative. Instead of upbeat music, they prefer very morose, very gloomy music. So lyrics have to be paid attention to. So if your friend has suddenly switched from positive outlook on life to very gloomy outlook, you have to pay attention. Some experience sleep problems. They are not able to sleep at all. Some sleep intermittently. To sleep for 2 hours, wake up every 2 hours, and then they are unable to sleep, go back to sleep. Some sleep too much, morning till evening. I just want to sleep. Sometimes you see appetite changes. You don't feel like eating. Nothing interests you. Nothing tastes good. I don't want to eat. So some people skip breakfast, skip lunch. They indulge in wrong eating behaviors. They eat wrong foods or wrong beverages, drinking alcohol too much, smoking too much, experiencing a lot of stress or tension, just feeling under the weather or feeling overwhelmed. Too many things to be done and too little time to do them. This is sometimes seen in students. Some people procrastinate a lot. Let's do it tomorrow. Project is due in September. So let me work on it in September. Project is due in December. So let me work on it in December. So you put off things and until it becomes too much, too many projects. They're not able to concentrate on activities. There is sudden deterioration in academic activities, academic performance. Person who was doing well suddenly goes down in academic performance. Inability to pay attention, inability to even concentrate on studies can be a sign. Sometimes they give away their prized possessions like their stamp collections, coin collections, things like that. Write goodbye notes, thank you notes to people. Thank you for being a great friend. I may not be around, but I just wanted to thank you. So when you get these notes, you have to pay attention. What do you mean you're not going to be around? Why out of the blue suddenly I'm getting this thank you note from a friend, from a classmate? They also sometimes engage in risky behaviors, drinking and driving, racing, motorbike, dangerous behaviors. They also become accident prone, like walking into wall, injuring themselves. Because when people are suicidal, when they don't care about their life, they don't care about others' lives too. Suicide and homicide sometimes go hand in hand. So, we have to pay attention to these signs. Now, what are the sources of distress for students, basically? One is unrealistic expectations, sometimes from oneself. I have to get 99%. Little less than 99 is not good enough. So some people are driven to excel. They just drive themselves crazy. They have too high expectations from themselves. Sometimes these expectations can be from other people, from parents, from teachers. You have to go into engineering. You have to be a doctor. We have our family practice and we want someone to continue after parents die. After us, I want you to be a doctor. So sometimes parents also force their children to do what they don't want to do. And sometimes that can be a problem too. There is trouble in the family, violence sometimes, marriage problems or family, financial problems. You're not able to keep up with the demands. Now, even now, because of the pandemic, COVID situation, everyone has to have access to a computer or a smartphone. Sometimes students are not able to access the internet from where they live, and it's very frustrating and overwhelming. So these are some things we have to pay attention to. Students also tend to self-medicate. When you feel sad, you drink. When you feel happy, you drink. Smoking too much or doing drugs, it's okay. Sometimes it's because of peer pressure. If you don't drink, you cannot be a part of our group. So in order to fit in, sometimes you make these choices and before you know it, you get hooked to these habits. And then alcohol is not really a stimulant like most people believe. It is a depressant of the central nervous system. When you drink, for the first 5 to 10 minutes, you feel good. The next 10 minutes, you feel miserable. So you have a tendency to pour another drink in order to make sure that you feel better. So one drink after another. Before you know it, you are totally drunk. And every time, in order to cope with life, sometimes you tend to make these choices or choose these paths to make you happy, which are not the right thing to do. So we have to think about what are the best practices here in order to cope with stress. Sometimes you have mental health issues, feel sad, feel anxious, maybe during exams, maybe you have a project due, maybe you have a performance in class. You have anxiety in public. These are natural, these are normal. Everyone does not become a debater or an orator overnight. It happens with the practice. So if you're not able to do, it's okay. You also need to have the ability to tolerate failure, ability to accept failure. So it's okay to fail. There's nothing wrong. Next time you can do better. Everyone who has failed is not going to end up a failure in life. Every failure is a stepping stone to success. So sometimes, as students, we need to lower expectations from ourselves. 90% and 100%, they are just numbers. Some people get them, it's okay. I'm good in something else. Some people are good in music, some people are good in sports, some people are good in arts. Some people are good in mathematics. So I don't have to be good in every field. I don't have to ape somebody else. I don't have to copy or imitate someone else. They are good in some things and I'm good in some things. Somewhere we have to learn to accept ourselves. Then the frustration tolerance will be better. You will be able to accept failure better. There is also rejection sometimes from family and friends. Sometimes relationship breakups, which sometimes shatter people. But that's not the end of the world. For some time, yes, you feel upset. You've put all your eggs in one basket and the basket falls off and you are bound to feel sad. It's okay. But somewhere you have to get some help and pick up the pieces and learn to move on. Some people suffer from low self-esteem. They compare themselves with other people. They have it better. The grass is always greener on the other side. So we have to think about our own lives. How can I handle stress? When it comes to suicide, in order to understand suicide, we also need to know what are some myths about suicide. Number one is those who talk about suicide never do it. It's not true. Those who talk about suicide also can do it, may do it. So we have to take people seriously. Don't laugh at someone, for example, a classmate. Usually in colleges, it's not the counselors, it's not the parents, it's not the teachers who are able to reach out to people who are suicidal. It's the person who's sitting next to you. When you feel upset, you don't share it with the school counselor. You share it with the person who's sitting next to you. And if that person doesn't understand what suicide is, then even your sharing will become futile. So it's important. You have to keep an eye on each other. Suddenly somebody is feeling sad is not the usual self. You need to go to that person and see what's going on. Ask what is going on. How can I help? Can I take you somewhere? Instead, if I mind my own business and then when the person is no longer alive, then sometimes we feel guilty. Sometimes we have regrets. I saw those changes, but I didn't do anything about it. So it's important to reach out to people. So when you hear this expression, pay attention. Suicide attempt is a cry for help. When I don't get help otherwise, sometimes I have to make an attempt to kill myself in order to get some attention. So that doesn't mean that everybody who attempts suicide is attention seeking. They don't have any other way of communicating their distress. So they do this. And after the attempt, they need professional attention. They need some clinical help so that they don't repeat the attempt. When a student talks about dying, he or she should be distracted. This is another myth. Because we as adults are uncomfortable with this whole topic about suicide. If you talk about it, it can happen to you. If you talk about it, it spreads faster. No, that's not true. You have to talk about it. When there is a death on campus, it's important that the faculty as well as parents, sometimes children go home and ask parents, one of our classmates committed suicide. And I don't know why. Just don't talk about it. You wash yourself and I have made this, you have your coffee. No, that parent need to sit the person down and then talk to him or talk to her and ask them what kind of questions, why people do these things. If at all you feel this way, you can come to me. So that way the child feels welcome. Child feels, oh, my parents understand me. Instead of diverting the attention, avoiding the topic, it's important that we talk about it. By talking about it, people don't kill themselves. Many people feel that suicide is a cowardly act. No. It takes a lot of guts to kill oneself. It's not, people who kill themselves are not cowards. They just feel that at that time they are overwhelmed and there is no light at the end of the tunnel. They feel gloomy. They feel their problem does not have a solution and death is the only solution. And that's why they do it. Not that they want to die. Everyone who attempts suicide doesn't really want to die. Everyone who commits suicide did not really want to die. They just wanted their pain to end, but they did not see any other way. That's why they did it. Now, suicide attempts are more among women. Completed suicides are more common among men. Because males tend to use more lethal methods of self-destruction. That's why they are more successful. Those who talk about suicide under the influence of alcohol and drugs also should be taken seriously. Because alcohol and drugs just lower the inhibitions. And you can be honest with whatever you're feeling. So in fact, people are more honest when they are under the influence of alcohol than otherwise. So they have to be taken seriously, and if you can give them some help, you have to give them that help. Asking about suicidal intent will not trigger a suicide attempt. It's important to address mental health issues. If you have anxiety, if you don't feel comfortable about yourself, if you're not comfortable about your body, for example, people have obsession with weight. Everybody wants to be thin. Somebody who is a little overweight can feel overwhelmed and upset. So there is too much of body consciousness. Some people go on diets for many years, many months, and then they lose weight. They exercise too much. Then after that, they go on eating binges and put on all that weight. Drinking alcohol, smoking too much, doing drugs. So lifestyle issues also need to be taken into consideration. If you have substance abuse problem, you need help. You need to seek help. If you use alcohol to self-medicate, to drown your sorrow, you need to consult someone before it is too late. If there is depression, anxiety, obsessive compulsive disorder, too much stress, you can seek assistance from a campus counselor. Sometimes medication may be required, but not all the time. It's okay to seek help. It's okay to go to a psychiatrist. There is no shame, because you just want to be better. That's why you are seeking help. So only heroes go and seek help. It takes a lot of courage to seek help. It takes a lot of courage to say, I have anxiety, I have depression, I have sadness, I have drinking problem, and I need help. So when you accept, you will be able to be more receptive to help given to you. Even if you have friends who have these issues, you can encourage them, come, let's go to somebody, let's talk about it. There are other options. There are better alternatives than drinking. There are better alternatives than dying. Life skills are important too. Communication, stress management, anger management. We focus a lot of attention on academics, but life skills also need to be focused on in academia. So communication, stress management, anger management, all these things are important. Do not suffer in silence. Just seek help. It's okay to seek help. Adopt a healthy lifestyle. How can you help yourself or other people? Everyone experiences stress, sadness or anxieties from time to time. It is natural. But if it continues for a long time, if it is overwhelming, if it is long term, then you need attention. You need to get some help. If the emotions are severe enough and if they are incapacitating, then you need to seek help. Keep away from alcohol and other substances because they usually make you feel worse. They are not making you feel better. If you're not able to enjoy things that you once enjoyed, then like for example TV shows, comedy shows, things that you really liked, you're not able to enjoy them anymore, then you need to pay attention to your emotional health. Understand sadness, it's natural. Death, betrayal, sudden change, loss, maybe failure, even breakup of a relationship, bound to cause sadness. It's okay, that's natural. If you don't feel sad, then something is wrong with you. But it is short-lived. If it continues for a long time, one relationship is broken and that's the end of the world. No, one relationship is broken and I feel very upset, and it's okay to feel upset for 3 months, maybe 6 months. But if it continues for a long time, then I need to seek help. How can you cope with sadness? You cannot run away from sadness. You need to accept it. You have to love yourself. Share your emotions with someone you trust. When you feel overwhelmed, when you feel stressed, talk to somebody. Talking helps. Some things cannot be changed and you have to accept them. You have to just change the way you look at them. Change your lifestyle, exercising, relaxing, eating healthy, sleeping well, at least 7 hours a day. It's very important for mental health. So you have to maintain and you have to build your mental health so that even when failure comes your way, when you have rejection, when you have frustration, you can tolerate, you can face them. Do not indulge in self-pity. How can you help a friend? Pay attention to changes in your classmates, in your best friends. Ask questions. Don't ignore, don't neglect, don't make fun. Don't call them names. They need help. Be open-minded about this whole issue about suicide. Be there and show that you care. Listen and don't advise. Watch out for your friends. See what they are doing. Because after you lose them, all you will be left with is regret and guilt. So best would be to prevent death of someone who is known to you. Respond with empathy, lead them to safety. Remember, together we can make a lot of difference in the lives of people. We have a suicide lifeline in Mangalore that became operational in 2017. We have 25 volunteers who are available 24 hours a day. If at all you or anyone known to you is upset, feeling overwhelmed, feeling sad, or just needs to talk to somebody very confidentially, you can call this helpline. The number is 0824 2983444. 0824 2983444. This is operating as a unit of Sushik Charitable Trust. And every conversation, it's open 24 hours a day. Safe, free, non-judgmental assistance will be given to you by our trained volunteers. Thank you.